and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Letcher County District Judge Kevin Mullins died yesterday in his office after police say he was shot several times by the sheriff. We now know that Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Steins was taken to the Leslie County Detention Center where he is charged with murder. Here is his mugshot that was taken after he was booked into the detention center. WYMT's Amelia Lee is in Letcher County tonight with more on what comes next in the legal process.
One judge is dead and one sheriff has been taken into custody. Those in Letcher County say they're shocked by what's happened here, but they are assured that members of the legal process have already started working on this case.
At this point in time, it'll go forward like any criminal prosecution that we have in the state.
Commonwealth's attorney Jackie Steele will be working this case with the Attorney General Russell Coleman. This comes after Commonwealth's attorney for Letcher County, Matt Butler, and his office stepped aside and asked for a special prosecutor.
In this case, I'm sure Matt knew both sides very well. So it can give, you can't make anybody happy. You're too hard on them, you're too soft on them. So there's an appearance of impropriety that deteriorates the criminal justice system.
With cases of this size, Steele says the timeline is dependent upon things being sent to the lab and evidence being processed.
It's about a year is going to be a quick process turnaround on a murder case. It's typically more around 18 months, to be honest with you.
If the charges of murder remain against Steins, he could face 20 to 50 years or life in prison. But due process is still going to happen while law enforcement officers try to determine what led up to the shooting.
KSP is working today, gathering, collecting, processing evidence, getting things to the lab. So it's still an ongoing investigation.
In terms of next steps, Steele says evidence will continue to be collected and processed.
There will be a full hearing, preliminary hearing, then there's going to be a full hearing at the grand jury of all the evidence collected, and we'll see where it goes from there.
We are told that an arraignment has been scheduled for Steins to happen on Wednesday at 11 in the morning in Carter County, and they say there will be a preliminary hearing happening sometime after that. In Letcher County, Amelia Lee, WYMT Mountain News.
We do know that Sheriff Steins was previously a defendant in a case 2 years ago. It started 2 years ago regarding one of his sheriff's deputies and sexual exploitation. It was said to have taken place in a judge's chambers. We were told that Steins was expected to testify in a deposition on Monday regarding this, but have not heard any updates. Questions are being raised about why the men are now why this happened, and state police say it is too early to release anything about a motive, but according to the Mountain Eagle newspaper, Judge Kevin Mullins was shot 8 times after he and Sheriff Mickey Steins exchanged cell phones in Mullins' office. Apparently some of what took place was captured on video in the building. One person who knew Steins says he was well liked in high school.
In high school, he was relatively quiet, you know, but he was a well-liked person and always has been. It's hard to wrap your mind around that it would happen in that place. So whatever the reason is, it had to be absolutely devastating.
We did ask Steins today if he wanted to do a jailhouse interview, and he declined. State police say the exact motive behind the murder remains under investigation. Here's some more about the background of Sheriff Mickey Steins. He's 43 years old and lives in the McRoberts community. He was formerly a bailiff in district court prior to being elected sheriff in 2018. This was his second term as Letcher County Sheriff. And the Courier-Journal reports again, Steins was expected to provide a deposition Monday in relation to a lawsuit from 2022. That suit claimed a deputy offered favorable treatment for sexual favors. Steins was listed as a defendant for allegedly failing to properly train the deputy. We had interviewed Steins as recently as last month about a drug bust. Now a little more about Judge Kevin Mullins, who was killed yesterday. Police say he was 54 years old, lived in the Jackhorn community. He was the district judge of the 47th Judicial District in Letcher County, the only district judge in the county. Mullins was appointed district judge by Governor Steve Beshear in 2009 after the death of Judge James Wood, and then elected to the position shortly after. Before that, he was an assistant Commonwealth's attorney. We've also interviewed him in the past, mainly about efforts to treat those with drug addictions. There's still no word yet on his funeral arrangements. Governor Andy Beshear did briefly address the shooting during a news conference this morning. He essentially said he would not comment on the matter other than what was already known, which was that the sheriff allegedly shot and killed the district judge. He says he's going to let KSP investigate the case and let them comment on the motive once they have evidence before it is prosecuted by Commonwealth's Attorney Jackie Steele. Organizers with the Mountain Heritage Festival in Whitesburg, which is coming up next week, say changes are being made for that festival due to yesterday's shooting, but it is still happening. In a post on Facebook, organizers say details for the parade and Whitesburg Day will be altered. The Mountain Heritage Parade is set for next Saturday, the 28th at 11 a.m. A pre-parade ceremony will happen shortly before that at Whitesburg City Hall. We have more about this on WYMT.com. Kentucky State Police confirm the body found in Laurel County is that of suspected I-75 shooter Joseph Couch. The state's chief medical examiner says the body was positively identified through DNA extracted from the bone. The medical examiner says the body was badly decomposed, and his cause of death is believed to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The search for Couch lasted 12 days after police say he fired shots on I-75, injuring 5 people. A man is facing a host of charges after he reportedly stole a package from a home in Pike County. The incident happened on Wednesday when the homeowner showed up to ask who the man was. James Meeks of Indiana then took off in a truck before police tracked him down. Once they pulled him over, it took several attempts to get him out of the truck. After arresting Meeks, police found marijuana and a handgun. Meeks was taken to the Pike County Detention Center.
Well, as advertised, we had temperatures in the upper 80s, some places even in the low 90s. This is a scene right now at Buffalo Mountain. We're seeing a mixture of sun and clouds at this hour, and temperatures are still in the mid to upper 80s, even low 90s. 90s the current temperature in Somerset, 90s the temperature in Moorhead, 89 in Irvin, 88 in Jackson. Prestonsburg is at 88. We're sitting at 82 in Hazard. 86 is the current temperature in Jonesville. Here's the latest with live pinpoint Doppler radar right now, and you see a clean sweep across eastern Kentucky. We are seeing some false returns being picked up on the Jackson radar. Next 12 hours keeps us sunny with temperatures in the mid 80s by the 7 o'clock hour. Clear skies across the board as we go throughout the evening hours. Temperatures will be in the mid 70s by 1 a.m. 7 a.m. we'll see a temperature of 69 degrees. When you wake up in the morning, temperatures in the mid to upper 60s will greet you. Now, we do have rain chances somewhere on the 7-day forecast. The question is when and how long will they last, and will it impact your weekend? I'll have those answers in the First Alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
All right, thank you. School districts throughout the state are working through not having enough counselors. WYMT's RJ Johnson shares how that can impact schools.
School counselors serve students in several different ways.
School counselors are really that first line of that students get for all of their mental health, their academic, their social emotional, their college and career. We are that first line for those students.
A report by the Kentucky Office of the State School Security Marshal shows more than 46% of school districts do not meet the goal of one school counselor for every 250 students. Kentucky School Counselor Association President Charlene Bratcher says school districts are working to adapt.
Different school districts call them different things. Some of them call them guidance specialists. So there's different titles. So that doesn't mean that there's not somebody in the district or in the school that won't provide that mental health for the students. It just means it might not be a certified school counselor.
Since 2015, Carrie Lawson has served as a school-based counselor at Robinson Elementary School, serving nearly 250 students, grades preschool through 8th grade. 2 years after flooding damaged their school, some students still struggle.
A lot of the kids here, they went through a traumatic experience. You know, some lost their home, all of them lost their school, and I noticed a lot more anxiety especially like during storms when it rains. They seem to be more anxious about things. So I think it really took effect. We've really seen, hey, this is an issue because of the flood.
She says counselors are there to help students through various times of need, saying without them, it can be difficult.
Kids come to school to be loved. They come to school to be seen and heard, and if they don't have that person there, that extra support person, you know, it's hard for the teachers because we all have different roles. And I think it'd be extremely hard for a school to function without a counselor.
In Perry County, RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
Bratcher says there are several factors as to why some districts struggle with hiring staff, from certifications, population, and funding. She says they are constantly working with lawmakers to secure funding for these roles. School officials in Floyd County are discussing possible solutions to their shortage of school resource officers. Last year, lawmakers mandated SROs be present on school campuses, but did not provide funding to districts to employ additional officers. In efforts to address the issue at a recent school board meeting in Floyd County, the district's chief safety officer brought a proposal that details starting a school-based district-wide law enforcement agency. There was no vote on this made at the meeting.